In the Pokrovsk direction, Ukrainian defenders stopped assault actions by Russian forces in the areas of the settlements of Shakove, Fedorivka, Rodinske, Mirnorad, Pokrovsk, Kotlin, Udachne, and toward Filia and Novopavlivka. According to information from the 7th Corps of the Airborne Assault Forces, Russian forces are attempting to break through into the northern part of Pokrovsk. This refers to the area above the railroad. Recently, the 25th Separate Airborne Sitcheslav Brigade of the 7th Airborne Assault Corps repelled an attack by more than 20 Russians and destroyed the assault group. Russian forces are also attempting to conduct active operations in the area of the industrial zone on the northwestern outskirts of the city. The goal of Russian forces is to accumulate forces for further advancement toward Ryshne. However, the defense forces are acting proactively, using strike UAVs and artillery, preventing Russian forces from concentrating forces and means or deploying offensive actions. Dmytro Snehiryov, military expert, said. According to him, in the zone of responsibility of the 46th Separate Air Mobile Brigade, Russian forces made an attempt at a massive assault using armored vehicles. Russian forces through tanks and armored vehicles, together with manpower. Thanks to the coordinated work of our engineers, artillerymen, and unmanned systems units, the enemy assault was repelled. Russian forces suffered serious losses during the attempted assault. Destroyed were 2 tanks, 2 armored vehicles, 59 Russian troops were eliminated. It is worth noting that the battle for Pokrovsk is increasingly turning into a struggle for logistics and resources, which is exhausting Russian forces. It is already effectively half of January 2026, and the boastful statements by Russian forces about taking full control of Mirnorad, about taking control of Rodinske, not to mention Pokrovsk, do not correspond to reality. This is evidence that the Ukrainian defense forces are not only managing to hold back further advancement by Russian forces, but are also successfully counter-attacking in certain areas. The Ukrainian armed forces conducted a series of successful counter-attacks in the Rodinske area and did not allow the Russian forces to take control of either the city itself or Ukrainian logistics routes. Thus, recently in the city of Rodinske, Ukrainian forces eliminated another strong point of Russian troops. The operation was carried out by fighters of the Special Unit Omega West, with the support of National Guard units. It is worth noting that in almost 2 years of combat operations in the Pokrovsk direction, the Russian army has lost about 1,000 units of armored vehicles and more than 500 tanks. In this section of the front, the Russian army is also suffering catastrophic personnel losses. Personnel losses in the Pokrovsk direction are among the most serious for the Russian occupying army. They are comparable to the personnel strength of the entire Leningrad military district. There are recorded episodes when Russian FPV drone operators work against their own soldiers, who are trying to surrender to the defense forces of Ukraine. Essentially, the destruction of personnel by their own forces is taking place. At the same time, I state that despite statements by Russian propaganda about full control by Russian troops over the city, the defense forces of Ukraine maintain control over part of Pokrovsk. Despite all the fakes from the Russian side, according to data announced by the Ukrainian Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief, the defense forces of Ukraine have stable control over about 16 square kilometers of Pokrovsk, with a total city area of approximately 29 square kilometers.
U.S. forces in the Caribbean Sea have seized another sanctioned oil tanker the Trump administration says has ties to Venezuela, part of a broader U.S. effort to take control of the South American country's oil. According to Associated Press, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote Thursday on social media, motor tanker Veronica had previously passed through Venezuelan waters, and was operating in defiance of President Trump's established quarantine of sanctioned vessels in the Caribbean. A social media post from U.S. Southern Command on the capture said that Marines and sailors launched from the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford to make the capture, while Noem's post noted that, like in previous raids, a U.S. Coast Guard tactical team conducted the boarding and seizure. Noem posted a brief video that appeared to show part of the ship's capture. The black and white footage showed helicopters hovering over the deck of a merchant vessel while armed troops dropped down on the deck by rope. The Veronica is the sixth tanker that has been seized by U.S. forces as part of the effort by President Donald Trump's administration to control the production, refining and global distribution of Venezuela's oil products, and the fourth since the U.S. ouster of Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro in a surprise nighttime raid almost 2 weeks ago. Noem, in her social media post, said that the raid was carried out with close coordination with our colleagues in the military as well as the state and justice departments.